does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube. I'm back again for another How to Play video, and today I'm going to teach you how to play the Nightmare Before Christmas Making Christmas card game from Funko Games. This is for 2 to 6 players, ages 6+, and we got everything set up. So the first thing you're going to want to do is shuffle up the 2 separate decks of cards, the big ones and the small ones. Next, you're going to want to construct this board right here, and make sure you put the corner with the spider web in the upper right-hand corner. Likewise, with these micro cards, you're going to deal out 2 cards to every single player in the game, and then you're going to place 1 card into each one of the 9 slots on the center of this board, making sure that the spider web is in the upper right-hand corner, like so. Next, you're going to take these cards right here and deal out 3 cards to match the 3 green spots on the left side of the board. If you'd like to make it a shorter game, remove 3 of these cards from the game right now. Now that everyone has their 2 cards, you're ready to start the game. The youngest player will go first. So on every single turn, you are going to take exactly 3 actions. So let's go over them. The first thing you're going to do is called swap 2 toy parts, and you can do this in one of 3 ways. The first one is, of course, just to point at 2 things on the board and swap them like such. However, sometimes you might find that there's not actually 2 cards on the board that you want to swap out. Well, that brings us to the second way you can swap toy cards, which is to take one of the 2 cards in your hand and swap it with one of the cards on the board. So I might do this move right here, put that back into my hand, and then take this from my hand and place it onto the board. But let's pretend that isn't really a great option either and show you the third way that you can swap toy cards, which is to point to any one of the toy cards on the board and then discard it. Set it in its own separate discard pile by the draw deck, and then just blindly draw the top card and place it right in the spot where you remove the other card. Now, once you've swapped exactly 2 toy cards in one of those 3 ways, we move on to the next phase of a turn, which is called complete goals. This is where you're going to look at the 3 Making Christmas cards that are on the left of the board and see if you've actually completed any of these cards. So, for instance, in order to complete this card, we would need to make one of these Russian dolls. In order to complete this card, we would need to complete one of these weird floating things, and we'll talk a little bit more about this card later because this is a special card that you'll see throughout the game. So for this particular turn, we actually haven't completed any of these goals. And if you cannot complete a goal card on your turn, what you can do is you can look at your hand of 2 cards and you can discard any number of these cards and draw back up to 2 if you would like to. The last phase of every turn is refilling the workbench if you completed any goals. So this player did not do that, so their turn would now be over, and then it would move clockwise to the player on the left, who would first, of course, swap 2 toy cards. For this example, let's say that they actually did swap these 2 toy cards right there. Next, this player is going to complete goals. Now, one thing I want to mention is you can complete more than 1 goal at a time if you happen to assemble more than 1 toy when you swap cards. But each toy you complete can only be used to complete 1 card. So, for instance, I've completed this toy right here, which means I could either put this goal card into my scoring pile because they match, or put this one into my scoring pile because this card is only looking for a vertical toy. However, I could not score both of these cards with just this 1 toy. Likewise, if this is what the board looked like and I turned in this 1 toy, I could not complete both of these at the same time. But that's not what the board looks like. This is what the board looks like. So now's a perfect time to talk about these special question mark cards that will either be vertical or horizontal. And they're really quite simple. In order to complete one of these wild cards, you either have to complete a vertical toy for these ones or a horizontal toy for these ones. But, as you can see, there's an extra symbol on the bottom right-hand corner. And what this means is, if you complete this particular goal card, you immediately get to do another swap 2 toy parts action. So back to this player's turn, they are going to complete a goal, so they will turn in this toy right here, and it just goes immediately into the discard pile, and then they're going to score this card, placing it in front of them. But since it has that special symbol right there, they get to do another swap. So they'll look at their hand, and they'll say, I'm not really seeing anything great I can do with my hand right now, but luckily I can do a swap on the board that I think will help, which is to do this one right here. Now, this is where things get interesting because I've actually completed 2 toys. I've completed the duck and I've completed the Russian doll, but right now there's not a duck card out, so I won't score for the duck, but I can immediately score this Russian doll, discard those, and then put this in front of me, and that's a scoring point. And yes, if we had happened to complete another one of these swaps with our original swap, you could swap something else and try and complete another toy. But we didn't do that, which means we go to the third phase, which was once again refill the workbench. And when you refill the workbench, you go from the top down and from left to right. So we would refill this one first, once again, making sure that the spider web is in the top right-hand corner. This one right here, that one, like that. And then fill in more gold cards for the next player. And bada boom, it would move on to the next clockwise player. Now, one minor rule that I have not mentioned is that if at any point in the game, all the players take a turn and no one completes a goal, you refill the entire workbench, getting rid of all 9 of these cards and putting in 9 new cards and then moving on to the next player. So in this example, let's pretend that this player takes a turn and they don't complete a gold card. This player takes a turn and they don't complete a gold card. And then this player takes a turn and they don't complete a gold card. Well, when it gets back to this player, you would wipe out the board and replace it with 9 new cards. Also, if you ever need to draw one of the small cards and there's not a card there to draw, take the entire discard pile, shuffle it up, flip it over, and draw from that. Anywho, you're going to continue taking turns going around the table until this entire pile is depleted and all the gold cards on the left side of the board are gone, at which point the game will be over, everyone will total up the number of completed making Christmas cards they have, and whoever has the most will be the winner of the game. If there is a tie, play again, or either share the victory. But that's how you're going to play Nightmare Before Christmas Making Christmas Card Game. If this video helped you out, please consider giving it a like. And if you love learning new games, consider a subscribe down below. But go have some fun, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.